Welcome to the regular meeting of the Recreation Parks Commission. Could we have roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Stolnak?
Present.
Commissioner Lubes has not yet arrived. Commissioner Cavagnolo?
Present.
Vice Chair Watson?
Present.
Chair Moda?
I'm here, thank you.
Okay.
Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Public communication is up next, related to commission business only, and we will hold it to 5 minutes. Step on up. You are the only one that we see.
I know, I can't believe it. Hello, commission members. My name is Barbara Boland. I live at 637 Whiting Street here in El Segundo. Been a resident for about 6 years now, and it's an amazing place to live. I usually come before you as the chair of the El Segundo Blue Butterfly Conservancy, but today I'm here to talk about the tree that was taken down in, not the tree that was taken down, but the replacement for the tree in Library Park. Let's see, I am a master gardener. I have been doing that for 20 years. My specialty is native plants, and as the El Segundo Blue Butterfly Conservancy head, I've planned and directed and worked with over probably 100 volunteers planting on the highway, more than almost, let's see, about 750 plants, all natives, and this is its second year and it's beginning to look fabulous. Just to say that my experience and my specialty is in native plants. There is a majestic California native tree that is a perfect tree for our site here in Library Park. It is the California Coastal Live Oak. It's a very majestic, beautiful tree, and the California Coastal Live Oak was growing here along the South Bay for ages before the coast was changed by development. And it's a quote from Calscape, which is one of my major sources to go to when I'm planning a garden, planning a native site. Is on, anyone can go into it, it's open to the public on the web. And what they say is the Coast Live Oak is an iconic, majestic tree that serves as a cornerstone for wildlife and the surrounding ecosystem. It is easily recognized by its gnarled branches and grand canopy. The Coast Live Oak flowers each spring, and its acorns attract a wide variety of birds and butterflies. Over 270 species rely on these trees for habitat and food. With its rich green foliage and unique branching pattern, the Coast Live Oak is a favored choice for both residential and commercial landscapes. End quote. I really feel that we have an opportunity here to make a grand statement about natural habitat, and our community will be very proud for decades to come. I know there have been listed on the site already, I think about 4 different trees. Mm-hmm. I could discuss several of them individually, why I wouldn't want to have them here. If you'd like, I'm happy to do that using my experience. But I also hope we can expand this a little bit I hope you don't make a decision right away. We just took the tree down. I think we could get some momentum as far as public opinion. But anyway, thank you so much. And I'm happy to answer any questions either now or via email or whatever. I think I sent the letter to everybody.
Yes, they all received a copy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the commission can't have a discussion.
Okay, so any time I'm happy to add any information. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, we'll close public communication. And consent calendar, regular meeting minutes from February 19th, 2025. Anyone?
Motion to accept?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's 5-0.
Thank you.
There's no unfinished business tonight. New business, tree replacement, Library Park. recommendations, select replacement tree for Library Park, or 2, alternatively discuss and take other action.
Yes.
And who's going to do that tonight?
I'll start off here. Honorable Commission, as you all know, we recently had to remove a tree from the park, from Library Park, a canary pine, that had been in the park, we initially thought, for 80 or 90 years. After receiving some further research and information from the community, it looks like the tree actually was planted in the 1950s, in the mid-50s, so still served the community for quite a long time, obviously very beloved in the community, a lot of emotion around the removal of the tree. But one of the things that the commission asked us to do was to not delay in replacing the tree, and to try to do it in a timely manner. And so I have asked staff, we do have 2 certified arborists on staff, and I asked them to put together some recommendations for replacement. And Christopher Henson, our superintendent is out this week. However, Joseph Casillas is here to just give you a little bit of overview on the suggested replacements. And I will turn it over to Joseph. Make sure you're gonna come up here? Okay. Yeah, why don't you come up here?
Good evening. The list of trees that I've been presented to this evening, there's 4 different types, the Norfolk Island Pine, the Brisbane Box, and the California Pepper Tree, and the Cajun Put Tree. From my knowledge, these are all evergreen trees. I know Chris was pushing for the Norfolk Island Pine Tree, just in case we want to do like Christmas celebrations at the park. We would plant more of a pine tree that looks familiar of a Christmas tree, so we can bring events during the Christmas time to Library Park. So we've been shooting towards the Norfolk Island Pine Tree, and then the other 3 are just alternatives if you guys have any interest with these other types of trees.
Is that your presentation? Is there more?
Yeah, I just handed it right now to me.
No,
so.
no, is there more? That's all, I didn't want to
I
interrupt.
mean, the variety of trees, there's information. I don't know if they're in the reports of each type of tree, the height, the umbrella, the effect of it.
No.
But that's something I can recommend Chris and Santos to present to you guys, how tall the tree's gonna get, the width, what type of umbrella it's gonna have. But something of interest is the Brisbane box trees. It's right here on Standard Street. If you take a drive down Standard Street, they can get anywhere from 50 to 70 feet tall. The Norfolk Island pine tree is something that we were shooting for, just because for so many years we talked about bringing back a Christmas tree to Library Park where we could celebrate Christmas events at the park and sort of dedicating it to this new date. And the California pepper trees, it's more of a silverish effect with sort of like a bottle brush red bulbs that pop off of it. That tree probably gets to about 35 feet to 40 feet. And I don't know much about the other tree, the Calico tree. And for the one Barbara was talking about, the oak, I can bring that up in discussion with Chris and Santos. But with the California oak, it'd be sort of a hard place to plant right there just because of the grass area. The grass requires more water than the oak tree. But that was something we'd have to remove more turf around it to keep from the irrigation hitting the oak tree. But my choice, I like to do like another pine tree back, just in case we want to do celebrations back at the park of having a Christmas tree effect style tree, which would be the Norfolk Island pine tree.
Commissioner, I just did some quick search here. So it looks like the Norfolk Island pine, as Joseph mentioned, can grow to 200 feet tall. It is as Joseph mentioned, this is similar in presentation to the tree that was in the park. The Brisbane box tree is more of a eucalyptus type of tree. From the initial research I'm doing here, it looks like that grows to 30 to 45 feet tall. The cajeput tree, which is also new, and I had never heard of
Yeah.
that, looks like that grows around 40 feet tall. And then the other would be the California pepper tree. Yes, as up to 40 as well, 35 to 40 feet.
I also printed out some information on each tree, since I found out it was coming out this evening, that I made copies to present to you guys. I'll hand them out to you. And
wanna do
you can
that?
do some research on each tree before
Yeah.
making a decision.
I have a couple questions.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Of the 4 trees that you presented, or that staff has presented, 3 of them are surface rooted. So the roots grow at the surface, kind of like the ficus trees that are out here and tear up the hardscape. That's the pine, the California pepper tree, and the cajeput tree. And the only one that's not is the Brisbane box tree. We've all seen the damage to the sidewalks with these surface rooted trees. So I was kind of hoping that we were going to have someone that could, Christopher or Santos here, that we could talk to them about that. The second, the canary pine that was there. Why can't we put one of those back in there? It went 75 years, obviously. It probably could have gone more if it didn't get diseased. But the canary pine is more of a deep taproot system, so I'm seeing what we have at the park. We have a lot of things going on there. We have soccer out there for little kids. We have the concerts in the
Concerts.
park. I'm not sure we want something that's surface rooted. So, you guys are the expert.
Yes, and I think these are the decisions, some of them, but that's a good idea, what you brought up about the surface roots. I have to talk to Chris and Santos about that. I don't know if they was thinking about that when they presented these trees, but yes, some of them do present a surface root.
And at the young age, I don't know how it's, we've had some wind here, and how
Right.
are they gonna hold up?
Right. Well, we talked about ordering different size boxes from a 48 on, 36 to 48 to a 65-inch box. But with the bigger box, that means we'll have to bring in a crane for
Well,
planting.
Of course. So, and the other thing I was thinking about, what about the droppings from the trees? I looked up, I'm guessing the California pepper tree will have stuff that will drop off
It's
of that.
minor. We have some some of these pepper trees over by the upper playground at Recreation Park, and it's fairly small droppings. There's an evergreen tree that pretty much stays green all year round, and it doesn't have a lot of droppings. From what I could tell right here, I'm not sure of how much droppings each of these trees produce, but it's sort of limited with these evergreens right here. They don't go dormant.
These trees, obviously the pine's not gonna shed. The oak will probably lose all of its leaves.
It can go dormant, yes.
The live oak is evergreen, it's not deciduous. Like if you went with a valley
Yeah.
oak or a
There's-
live
yeah,
oak, or
different
cedar
oaks.
or a black oak, that would be deciduous.
So
But I don't love the leaves on the live oak either, so.
I would like to see a pine put back in there. That's me
Okay.
personally.
I
And,
think that's what Christopher was leaning towards.
but I'm looking more towards what we had there, the canary pine. So anyone else would like to speak? Go ahead, please.
So, I'm always talking about the trees. I walk around town all the time, and, so I've been walking around town looking at all of the trees, taking a look at the Brisbane box, which my mom had, planted in her yard, a little over a year ago, and I selected that tree because of her age and how quickly that tree grows, about 3 feet a year, so that she could see, you know, a tree growing quickly, since her tree was in her yard for 72 years. And it is growing quickly. The Cajaput tree is the tree that the trunk, you know, sloughs off its bark all the time. It has that papery
Paper.
Yes,
bark,
that's
you know.
very soft.
And it has like a bottle brush flower to it that's white, that is on there. It's a messy tree, not a native. The pepper tree has a nice looking trunk, and it can be a wispy tree, you know, if it's trimmed properly. It has the tiny red berries. It's a nice looking tree. It's called a California pepper, but it's not a native. But how many of you have gone to Library Park and have stood there and looked at the park and looked at the layout of the park? And if you stand, yesterday I spent some time, I spend a lot of time in the park, working in the rose garden, working in the pollinator garden, just spending time in Library Park. Yesterday I stood up on Mariposa, amongst the tall pine trees there. And if you look down over the park, where the pine tree stood, that is a focal point of the park. And there is a ring. You have the ring of grass, and the pathway goes around that. And the tree sat in the center there. And that's a real focal point of the park. And then if you stand on Main Street and you look up there, you look back up, and Richmond Street School is at the back side. And then if you go into the park and you look across, you're looking at the high school. And so, you know, it's that whole park is a majestic part of our city. And we want to do something that's going to be special. And one of my favorite parts of the park are the sycamore trees. I love California sycamores. And that would be a choice of mine as well, would be a California sycamore in there, and having a beautiful California sycamore tree. And yesterday I was at Descanso Gardens and seen all of their coastal live oaks that they have. They have one that's like 300 years old. And with the acorns and this huge tree. And, you know, I don't see why we aren't looking at some native trees. And the Christmas tree that we had there in that park, I always thought was an ugly tree.
Yes, it was never shaped as to be a
No,
Christmas tree.
it was an ugly tree. And when I stood there in the park yesterday looking, I thought, we want to pick the right tree. Yes, we want to get a replacement in there soon. I'm not saying we want to get one in there next week, but we don't want to be 4 months from now. But we want to get the right shaped tree. Mm-hmm. We want to get the right type of tree. But we don't want to make a quick decision and just get a tree in there.
Right.
But we want to pick the right tree for that park and also for the area that it's going. And I stood in the park for probably 45 minutes yesterday, just really looking at the whole park. You got the camphor trees along Palm You have the sycamores that are back along the library, which I love that part of the park there. And then you had that ugly Christmas tree that was there. And I don't know if putting the Norfolk pine is going to be a tall, spindly tree. I don't know if that's gonna be the right look again. And it's a big if the city's going to do the Christmas celebrations there, because they're very set doing it here now.
Right.
But I think, you know, we want a majestic focal point. You know, we want a majestic focal point in that park. And take some time and go to Library Park and look at how it's laid out. Spend some time there as a commissioner and look at how that park is laid out. You know, and how the pathways are. And see how it is.
Yeah, northwest corner is a huge observation when you pull into town. And you
Yeah,
pick the
and-
right tree. the
And when
focal
you
point,
stand there at the
presentation.
pollinator garden and you look at different areas,
Right.
and how it's laid out,
Plus, it looks a little empty in there because we have quite a few new trees in there
Mm-hmm.
with the removal of the Chinese elms and a variety of other trees.
Right.
We have a lot of new trees in there, so it doesn't look all plush and,
right, and all
You know,
these trees,
growth.
you know, were essentially planted almost at the same time.
all right.
And they're coming down because they were so old, you know, and people think we're just cutting down the trees willy-nilly. Well, it's not that, it's because they were so old.
Right.
You know, and they're not recognizing that, like Chevron has cut down so many trees over there at the refinery because they were planted so long ago.
Right.
You know, they're just recognizing that we're cutting them down here in Library Park. You know, but, you know, so my suggestion is looking at the coastal live oak, looking at the California sycamore, looking at some native trees, not just having to pick from those four
Would
suggestions.
you like more of a vertical or an umbrella type tree? That'd be another discussion to think about.
Exactly.
Do you want something more canopied, or do you
Do we
want something more
want
vertical
evergreen,
tall?
or do we want deciduous, or do we not care?
We don't have to decide this evening. If you guys want to
Right.
just give some feedback, we'll take this back. We'll meet, I'll ask Christopher and Santos. I appreciate Joseph attending.
And is
Santos
that
and
gonna be
Christopher, right.
commission decision or is it going to council decision?
It's commission decision. I have not been directed to the council at this point. So maybe feedback from everybody and then we can,
That's what I was trying to get at.
yeah,
Your
Sycamore, Live Oak.
I'm looking at sycamore live oak.
Okay.
Mark.
I'm open to stuff. I personally grew up around live oaks. I really don't like them. You can't be barefoot around a live oak. And I think that's a problem.
Right. Why is that, Mark? Just-
Because the leaves are heavily, really pointy and hard and
Got
sharp.
it.
Versus valley oak, which
Valley
is
oak.
also native and softer leaves, and I think can be, you know,
Okay.
an alternative. You want an oak. Again, it's deciduous though, so it's gonna lose its leaves.
Right.
But the canopy is beautiful, right? We had live oaks that were hundreds of years old, and they come all the way back down to the ground, and it's amazing. But,
You have a recommendation that you want to see come back.
sorry.
No, you're not sorry.
He said
You know,
Valley Oak.
I'm open, I just want to have a little bit more thought have gone behind whatever's being presented, because I don't feel like there's a lot outside of, we like the Norfolk pine because it's kind of Christmassy. That's what I feel like I've gotten as far as reasoning. And I know you don't know the whole background, just so, you know, that's really what I'm looking for, is justification for whatever it is that we're putting forth.
Second of all, with the liquid ambers and the sycamore trees, with the complaints of small children and that with allergies, the tins with the leaves with the brush, the pollen in the trees, it tends to give a lot of kids. I get a lot of calls from residents that use Library Park about the leaves when they fall, that it presents kids with allergies because of the pollen on the leaves. So that's something to think about too.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, I think it's gonna be challenging to find something that everybody wants.
Right.
That's gonna be difficult. It's,
Right.
Dave? Got any choices or thoughts?
It sounds like we'll be coming back
Yeah,
with some more
that's what it
info.
sounds, but I'd like to have Christopher and Santos here.
Absolutely agree with that.
They'll be the decision makers
Yes.
on that.
Yeah, that's gonna be important to me,
Yes.
is that we see both of them, because those are our certified arborists,
Agree.
okay?
I appreciate that the commission is having an opportunity to consider the tree. But with that said, this is the type of situation that I believe 80% of the people are gonna be disappointed no matter what, because we've opened the door to this. So
Right.
Barbara wants the oak, Julie wants either the live oak or the sycamore, Bob wants the pine. We've only asked 4 people so
Right.
far, and we have 4 different answers. So for me, it really isn't, it can't be about what we personally like. I believe that this needs to be an operational decision. And the operational decision needs to be based on how our community uses the park. The beauty of it, all the trees are gonna be pretty. 20% of the people are gonna be happy with whatever tree you put in there, and 80% are not gonna be happy, because they're gonna be one of these other things.
Right.
So for me, it's about the park, and it's about the community using the park. And so the comments that rung most true to me were, you don't pick something that has a ton of pollen, because you do get allergy issues. You don't pick something that you can't walk around barefoot in.
Right.
You don't pick something that is going to, if the stage continues to be where it normally is, that is gonna block the stage. Because when I started, this is gonna come back, so I'm not gonna go through everything I wrote down, but one of the questions I had was, I believe we put in an outlet there for those lights, correct?
Right.
Isn't there electricity? So does it have to go right there, or can we move the electrical box to a spot that isn't in the way of the concerts in the park? Which then maybe changes what tree might go there. Irrigation, so again, operationally speaking, so certain trees are gonna require us putting in drip, or someone going out there and watering by hand for the first year or so. Does this type of tree allow for the current grass irrigation to take care of the watering, and we're fine? So cost-wise, so there's some cost implications in that too. The other things were evergreen. I think everyone wants it to be green all year, so that probably is one that there's consensus. We don't want it to be sticks half the year, so I feel like that's one thing that is probably pretty broadly accepted, but maybe not. You might have 25% of the people who don't want it green all year. I personally liked that there were Christmas lights in the park. I thought that looked cool, but that doesn't have to be a thing. That's my personal opinion. And while you want our personal opinions, I get it. I still think that a bunch of personal opinions are not gonna get to the answer. The answer is actually gonna be you guys telling us, this is the tree that we think needs to put there for this, and this reason. And if we go with something else, it causes a problem in this area. If we go with that one, it causes a problem. But this is the one, everyone's not gonna be happy with it, but it checks most of the boxes. And we're gonna put it in this location also. So I would prefer personally to get a strong recommendation based on all of those operational factors and how the park is used. All of these trees are pretty. Everyone here loves trees, but we all have different opinions on which one looks the best and which one's gonna look nicest in that spot, and that's just human nature. So again, my preference would be you guys saying, thanks for your feedback, we heard you, and now this is the
This is
tree
our
that we
recommendation.
really wanna do, and if you don't like it for whatever reason, this is our second choice for this reason, rather than like too many options or too many opinions.
Got
So
it.
that's
Appreciate
my
that.
opinion on the situation.
Exactly. Again, Santos and Christopher here. And maybe, like we said, go back to them. Go back and come back with a couple of trees.
Sure.
And are they
We can do
only
that.
selecting off of our city tree list?
The palette that.
I
Yes.
can't answer that. Santos and Chris are the ones that are on this project. So I don't know what
We will come back with more
They're,
information.
Okay,
reviewing.
Can we just agree we need to come back with some more information?
we can
Okay.
agree, but Kelly, go ahead. Did you have anything?
Yeah, what's
I
Kelly's
just-
feedback?
I really do, one of the things that's always bothered me about landscape trees is going away from the natives and the diseases that happen because of it and the problems that happen. So I do want to elevate, like, I agree 100% with what you're saying. There needs to be a list of criteria, and I do think that natives needs to be high on that list, because I think that, if we are planting a tree for the next, hopefully 50, 60 years, I think it should attract the right kinds of flora, fauna and bugs and insects and things. We've got a bee dying off problem, And I think, you know, I like the oaks for that reason, that we could, you know, have a habitat for bees. But I think, I agree with you, there needs to be a list of criteria, and I do think native should be the direction we're going. Taking trees from Australia and planting them here is why we have fire problems and fungus and problems, you know. Maybe we wouldn't have the allergy issues we're having if we were just planting natives overall, so I vote for native, that's all.
Okay,
Thank you. So do I have a consensus here that we want them to bring it back?
Do we need to make a motion?
Go ahead.
So moved. Or,
Okay.
yes.
Is there a second?
How do you feel about that? Because you're the one who wanted it fast, so do you feel
Right.
good with bringing it back?
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it needs to be next week, but I just don't want it to be, you know, 4 or 5 months down the road. But we want to do the right tree.
We could have something back, so we could possibly have something back next month.
definitely we'll have something back.
Okay,
We got
that's
good
what I needed.
feedback, I think we'll move forward, I agree, I think Christopher needs to be here for this report. We were concerned about the timing
Yeah,
and wanting to bring something
but
back.
now that we know that the timing isn't that much of a big deal. So there's a motion. Is there a second? What was the motion? To bring it back.
We'll bring back a report with a recommendation,
All the
with
things Bob
staff's
said.
recommendation.
Can I have that second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 5-0.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Joseph.
Joseph, thank you.
Thanks for pinch hitting, Joseph.
Yeah. thank you.
Fortunately, they weren't able to be here.
Yeah.
He had to step in.
Okay, reports, Recreation Parks and Library Director.
Yes, well, you have my monthly report, make sure my microphone's back on. You have my monthly report here. I'm available for any questions. I also provided each of you a copy of our latest recreation activities guide. So hopefully between that and the report, you'll get a really good look at what's going on in the department, but I'm happy to talk more specifically about anything in the report or answer any questions.
Anyone? Julie?
Doing what other one?
Christopher's. Will he be doing Christopher's report?
He doesn't have anything for Christopher's report.
Okay.
Did you have a question about something in parks? I can. Well,
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you can go ahead and ask questions about that.
Okay. Bringing up the trash can issue again in Washington Park.
Yes.
Can we not just get, if we're still waiting on the trash cans to come from Hilltop Park when those are gonna be replaced, can we not just get a trash can, like a Rubbermaid trash can put at Washington? It's been like 2 months and people still are leaving their dog poop bags along the trees every day.
From my knowledge, they put out trash cans at each corner.
Not at Washington, not at, between Mariposa and, Palm. There's nothing, not,
You're talking about the green patch area where the pull bars are at, off of Mariposa? Or are you talking Washington Park?
The
I'm
Washington,
between Mariposa and Palm
Mariposa and Palm,
on Washington.
on Washington.
There's not one trash can in that park.
Okay,
Okay, I'll look into
And
it
there's
tomorrow.
constantly dog poop bags left along the curb and the trees there.
okay.
From my report from staff, they said they put one on each corner and mid-block, but I'll double check
No,
tomorrow.
there are new trash cans from Palm to, Maple,
Okay.
but nothing from Mariposa to
Mariposa.
Palm.
Okay.
Let's
yeah,
just go out and check that.
We got 4 extra cans that we could drop off tomorrow.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, that's
nothing
not a
there.
problem.
We have been, I'm very, very aggressively pushing them to get trash cans out because
Yeah.
I drive by those parks. They're in horrible condition. I agree with you. So I know Christopher purchased one. We are gonna need to purchase more, but we're gonna do that.
Okay,
But yes, we can get cans out there. Agree with you.
okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Any other questions on the matrix?
I do,
Yes.
but I wanted to see if you were done.
Yes, and then was there anything further on, that fundraiser on the tree? That GoFundMe thing?
Yes, it actually came up at the council meeting last night, and I'm gonna have to bring a report back to the city council.
Okay. All right,
So I'm just gotta get that together, work on that.
okay, nothing else.
Okay,
the tree that was cut down, there is a group of individuals that would like, someone to pay to have the tree shipped from West Coast Arborist to a lumberyard in, down in Los Angeles that repurposes and makes beautiful furniture out of trees. So, we need to, it's a complicated situation. And, so I just got that direction last night, so the tree still exists, it's over at, it's at West Coast Arborist, there's some confusing opinions about, is it still the city's property, is it not, the attorney's gotta weigh in, and it's just gonna be a little bit of an issue that we're gonna try and add into our repertoire of things. But right now, it's safe, yes, it's safe, we've asked them not to do anything with it, and just to please hold on to it. Right, exactly. Maybe I'll put it over at the clubhouse.
Okay. Wow, you know, I was gonna go there.
I'm punchy.
Yes, well, you're not the only one.
Right.
Okay. Tell me, I know what CIP stands for.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, does CIP mean it's on the list? Or does it mean that it wants to go on the list for this capital improvement project?
Yeah, so the CIP, the capital improvement projects, it's a 5-year plan, and essentially, we have a discussion annually during the budget. Things get put into the CIP plan, and then the council approves it, doesn't approve it. So there's a number of things that are already in the CIP related to our department, improvements for Joslyn, Clubhouse, the Plunge, the dog park, there's multiple. So these would have to go in to that, list, essentially.
Specifically, the dog park.
Correct, so I actually had a discussion today about the dog park. The city manager does not feel that there's a lot of council support to put a lot of money into that. So we are gonna stabilize the slope, that was
Right.
damaged from the rains, and then I asked for an additional $50,000 to at least do the fencing.
Okay, that's all I needed
So I'll
to
keep
hear.
you updated.
Okay,
And
Yes.
that's where the 12/21/25 target date is. So that, everything
Yes.
has a date on it,
It's a target date.
but
Right.
everything with the date on it has been approved and is budgeted.
No, this is basically the staff going out and saying, this is what needs to be done, and it's not something we can just do. We need it to go into the CIP list. So it's items that we will discuss during the budget. So we're in that process right now.
So stuff with the date on it has not yet gone into the CIP? stuff?
Correct.
Okay, and if it says CIP on it and no date, what does that mean?
It means we have to request it. It just means we don't have an anticipated date. We put dates on
Okay.
the things we think we can prioritize based on the amount they cost.
Okay,
And then the things that don't, it's because they're larger projects, and we are backed up. As all of you know, you've seen our facilities.
yeah, like fencing is a higher cost.
Yeah.
That makes sense, signage.
Correct.
Okay.
Mark, thank you for bringing and getting that clarified, because that's exactly what I was trying to get out. I appreciate
The
that, so
things that
thank
have
you.
dates are things that I think we can actually get done because of the cost and the simplicity of the project.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Ally? Seeing none, okay. Recreation Park staff. That'd be you, Linnea.
I'm on it. Okay, just a few updates. So the snowboard trip was moved because of the weather from March 7th to March 30th. Big bummer because it was a great snow day, but we had to move that. This coming Monday, the 24th, 10 a.m., Tiny Tot event at the clubhouse. They're having a drum circle happening. That should be fun. Youth basketball, the season wrapped up with the championship games at the Lakers facility. I went, very exciting. The all-star teams are competing this weekend, so we'll think positively for them. And then the drama is in the middle of their variety shows. And this coming weekend, we have a couple shows going on Friday, Saturday, I think there's 2, and then Sunday as well. 2 p.m. for the junior shows, 7 p.m. for the senior shows. There's signs around town too.
Okay.
Can I go back to mine? Sorry, I want to introduce Con Watson.
I was hoping you were gonna do that, 'cause that was
Yes.
that's
Our
what's coming up
senior
next.
admin analyst. Con's been here, what, a week? And she's fantastic. She is a USC grad. She's got tons of experience. She's been working as a contractor for the Department of Health. loads of just really great experience and has jumped in immediately. I don't see her all day. She goes and does her work, and so really thrilled to have her.
Okay.
Yes.
Great to have you
Yes.
here. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to commissioner reports. We're gonna go start with Julie. Do you have anything?
I just wanted to make one comment on the meeting minutes. In this last meeting minutes, I see it was done by, I think it was Vivian, who was a temporary, maybe it was just how she does it. Like, for instance, in the new business, where, just specifically, in the tree removal policy, I had mentioned the specific thing about doing the speeding up the tree replacement turnaround time. But it doesn't state that Commissioner Stolnak did that. It's just like a generalization. But I think it should be what commissioner is making that request. See what I'm saying?
I can set it to the same.
Yeah, I get it. I understand what she's saying.
So
Yep.
it should be that what each commissioner is requesting.
It's probably because it's being done by a temp, and she doesn't, unless you say your voice, she doesn't recognize the voice, so that could be why. So,
Okay,
yeah, but we'll, as she becomes familiar, I think we'll be able to do better with that.
okay. And that's all that I have tonight. And welcome to Con.
Mark?
So I can provide an update on the subcommittee as well? Is that?
Please.
Yeah, all right. So, the aquatic subcommittee, we had a good meeting on Monday? Thank you. Some updates on the plunge, most importantly. So fundraising, we're sitting at 2 million of the $5 million target. It's been pretty slow of late, with a lot of alternative fundraising events happening for things like fires, et cetera. But hopefully that will start picking up now in the next couple of months. That's the expectation. In addition, we have a change order at 800K to potentially 900K on replacement of the tile. So that is pushing us up to 1.6 million in change orders so far versus the 1.3 million contingency we had set aside. So this is pushing the cap on how much we're gonna need to fundraise as well, just so everyone's aware. Potentially, and I haven't gotten a final answer on this, I don't know if you know, Ally, I know Cheryl's gonna check on it, but there's a potential timeline effect on that tile as well, potentially 90 days later, but I think she was gonna see if that was critical path or not.
Yeah, we haven't heard about that, but I will provide an update. We are having conversations about potentially looking at not doing tile. Because at $1 million cost, I know we would love tile, but I think that Daryl and Elias and I had a conversation today, and I said, I'd hate to delay this and add $1 million if we can. I don't know if the community is gonna be that upset if we have. So we're looking at options now.
Makes sense.
Oh, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
yes. So I asked, Joe's gonna be doing some research on some of the other facilities that are being, that are under construction and seeing what options we have. Yes.
And then the other thing that came up was success criteria. We walked through the success criteria for all of the user groups and just understanding where they sat relative to one another. We are looking at creating a working group to explore scoring adjustments based upon how things have gone, how those groups have, kind of what we're seeing in field use and whether or not we need to adjust the scoring right now. Implications of what scoring means, that will be decided, hopefully through the work on Councilman Hutziker,
Yes,
et cetera. So,
correct.
I don't know if this is a question for you or Ally, but what happens if the fundraising doesn't come in? The project is still going. I don't understand where that money
We'll just
comes
have
from.
a
And
The
big
city
pit
will
over
pay,
there.
I mean, we'll
city
just have
picks
to,
up
we'll have
the
to fund
tab
it.
and you just have a fundraiser go on forever, or you
Forever,
just?
yes. No, and actually, I heard we have a $2 million shortfall, which to me means we're at 3 million.
oh,
That's
okay,
what I
maybe,
understood.
okay, maybe I
Right.
misrecorded that.
Yes, so I think we're in better shape than we thought, but certainly we don't need $1 million change orders, so that's where we're gonna have to start, making some tough decisions, but yes. And I did also get a request last night at the council meeting from Councilmember Giroux to provide an update to the council on all sorts of data about the pool, about Wiseburn, the user groups, who's using it, when are they using it. All of that information exists, so it's just a matter of me putting it together in some sort of format for them to digest easily. So I can do that pretty quickly, and we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
But it specifically was asking about success criteria and revenue and that sort of thing. Who's
Mark?
next?
That's it for me. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Mark. Mr. Lubes, Dave, anything?
Welcome to the city.
Kelly?
So I guess I'll give an update on the field allocation subcommittee.
Go for it.
So yeah, we're about 2/3 the way through the policy document, and I think we've really hashed through, like, some pages took several meetings. We've really hashed through the most controversial pieces, so we're just sort of finishing up. We will be bringing back to you a couple of recommendations, including, well, some changes to the policy that may or may not be controversial, but we feel like the process has been very exhaustive and good.
Good.
How about that?
You said exhaustive?
Exhaustive.
Okay.
Meaning very
And-
detailed, a
okay,
lot of
or-
information.
Or exhausting. Which
Yes.
one?
Wow.
Exhaustive.
I'm gonna leave that one up to you.
Yes.
But, also wanted to welcome Con and, yeah, and thanks for the information on the trees. I'm glad we're gonna give some more thought to it.
We will.
Yes, okay, thank you. Barbara, thank you. Thank you for, I appreciate you coming here, and every meeting is great. Great to see you, and the information is also very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Con, thank you for coming to work here. And I'm really glad that we're going to look deeper into this tree. I mean, it's a big deal, it looks like. So, let's do it right.
Yep.
As we're gonna do with the field allocation policy, we wanna do it right.
It's always a balance of quickly and
Well,
having the time.
quickly is not always the best. It's nice, but it's not the best. So with that, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.